I've made well over $30 million since I started with my first online business. I've traveled the world 4 times. I've helped hundreds of thousands of people all around the world. And what I'm not doing as a habit are things like journaling, getting up at 5 a.m. in the morning, visualizing, living a minimalist lifestyle, because let's be real here for a second, those habits are some fake guru shit, and we're all about being real here on this channel. Because the truth is, you can live a relatively regular everyday life and still build long-lasting wealth like me. I've actually just implemented a few tiny habits that help me make millions, retire in my 20s, and pretty much do whatever the hell I want. So let me share with you my top 19 tiny habits anyone can create for themselves to get the good life. So let's start with top tiny habit number 19. I ask everyone for advice, but I'm picky with what advice I follow. Reason why I ask everyone is I want to have as much information as possible, plus it also tells me a lot what the people around me are thinking, and it's always good to know each and every person's agenda. Some of them are good, some of them are worse than you think, but most importantly, I only really follow the advice from people that are where I want to be. I generally don't take advice from people that are my friends or my family that are just not in a position in life where I want to be. I appreciate their feedback, but I don't follow it. Number 18, I optimize my finances for active income, not passive income. That's a problem I see a lot of people make when they're trying to become wealthy. They're all chasing the sexy sounding passive income. Listen, passive income is only a vehicle to park excess cash from your active income. Go make $100K a month profit first for yourself after taxes before you're even thinking about putting some of that money into passive income. I have a lot of stuff that makes me passive income each and every month, but my focus up here is on active income because it has much higher leverage. 17, I actually use an app called Trello to organize my day and put a little bit of structure into this chaotic mind up here. I use Trello on 2 levels. One, on a weekly level, meaning every Sunday I plan the big needle movers that I want to get done that following week ahead of time. So for example, Monday, social media content. Tuesday, make sure our programs are up to date. Wednesdays, checking in with a sales team, just an example. And then the second level is I check each and every evening before the next day what the exact structures I want to do in each and every day. Because what I want to avoid is me getting up and kind of spending energy on like, what am I going to do first? Oh, I don't want to do that. I want to do this, because that wastes time and it's a lot of procrastination. So that's why I use Trello to always schedule anything ahead. 16, I learn a little bit every day. This doesn't mean I do 30 minutes of reading every day or I journal or any of this stuff. I literally just say, look, depending on my time, I want to watch at least a YouTube video that is not just funny cat on the skateboard, but that is actually by someone that I look up to. I make sure I listen to audiobooks on my AirPods whenever I walk somewhere so I don't waste my time. And yeah, I also buy a shit ton of courses and I buy a lot of mentoring. You can see some of the lessons from these mentorings on this very channel too. 15, I move every day. A healthy mind lives in a healthy body. Now that doesn't mean that I go on a run every day or something like that. I keep it pretty simple. I walk around 10,000 steps. I get my iPhone to track that. It's not too much. Most normal human beings can get that done if you just take a walk a day. Plus I go to the gym 3 times a week to do heavy lifting because it's really good for muscle and the bone density. 14, I actually eat clean 80% of the time, meaning I stay away from processed carbohydrates, stay away from sugars, stay away from bread, anything that causes inflammation and it makes me feel dull. You feel that sometimes after a big meal, you got food coma, you're really tired. Well, guess what? That's not normal. You're not supposed to do that. If you eat clean, meaning eat high quality meats, red and white meats, eggs, fruit, vegetables. That's basically it. You can eat as much as you want of that. You're not gonna get tired. You're not gonna feel sluggish. Now that's what I do 80% of the time. I still enjoy my life. I still eat cake, eat chocolate or whatever, basically whenever the hell I want. As long as most of the time, 80% of it, I eat clean, I'm fine. That leads me to habit 13. I'm worrying a lot and I actually feel good about it. There's 2 camps of people. There's usually the people that never worry. They're just running through life. Everything is easy and peachy. That's cool because they have high quality of life. They don't worry. But at the same time, they usually are not the most successful people in the world. And then there's the worriers that are like, I'm worrying everything. Oh my God, I have anxiety all the time. And those people usually push harder in their career and therefore they have a little bit more success. What I do is I worry, but I feel good about that. I understand that me worrying constantly about the future is actually one of my best habits. It's the very reason why I made so much money, why I got all these awards. It's the very reason why I've not built one, but two multiple 7-figure-a-year businesses. It's the very reason why I'm here today, hopefully showing you one or two important things here in this video. So you gotta understand that it's totally fine to worry and that it's actually a good thing. Change your relationship to that fear. Number 12, I do at least one thing that's fun every day. If you're like me and you're easy to overwork and you get burnt out quite easily, I literally schedule it that I have fun. That's either, watching whatever TV shows like The Office, doing racing on my simulator, or most of the time when I'm traveling, I have fun almost the entire time. I go explore the cities, I go drive around nice cars, whatever the hell I want. So it's important to always do something fun every day, even when you're working on your dreams and you're going ghost mode or whatever the hell these TikTok kids are calling it nowadays. Now that brings me to number 11. I don't drink and I don't smoke. I actually think alcohol is one of the dumbest drugs ever. It's literal poison that you're bringing down into your body. You don't need it to have fun. Now, smoking, yeah, nicotine can give you a high, but if you really want the nicotine, go do nicotine plasters or nicotine gum. Smoking in and of itself, it's just not good for your lungs, man. Just stay away from that. Which brings me to number 10, which a lot of people might get triggered by. I barely ever drink any coffee. In fact, I use coffee. Not I enjoy it, I use it like a tool, and I do that very rarely, but I use it strategically. For example, I was in LA the other day, I was super jet lagged, but I was supposed to speak on stage. That's why I drank coffee, and because of the fact that I barely ever drink it, it really kicks in like crazy and the effect is quite amazing. Or if I have a big project that I have to finish over a week or multiple days, there I drink coffee as well because it gets me to this like 130, 140% of productivity temporarily. Other than that, I stay away from it. Now my 8th top habit is actually quite controversial. I work really hard when things are shit, in my business, in my life, wherever. But I work even harder when things are great. That habit has allowed me to continuously push, to continuously grow, and never just rest on my laurels for too long of a time. I've worked with so many clients that I've brought to their first million, their first 5 million, and they just became complacent. 2-3 years later, they lost it all, they stopped doing the things that I told them to do, and then they're very, very unhappy and they have to start from scratch. Not if you have that habit. Which brings me to habit number 7, that's kind of straightforward. I sleep. I sleep properly. In fact, I sleep at least 8.5 hours a day. People that say they can get by with 6 hours a day, super unlikely. In fact, the percentage of people that have a mutated gene for sleep is about 1%. So it's unlikely that you're part of the 1% that needs less than 7.5 hours of sleep. You probably need the full hours of sleep. That also includes proper sleep routine. I go wear blue light blocking glasses before I go to bed. I have blue light blockings on all my screens. I try to minimize artificial lighting. I make sure that at least 1 hour before I go to bed, I wind down. I don't do too much work because I want to sleep like a baby when I go to bed. That brings me to habit number 6. I enjoy the process quite a lot actually. So a lot of folks, they become very impatient because they want the end result. They don't want to grind hard. They just want to make millions. But in reality, you're going to spend 90% of your time making the millions and only 10%, if not even less, enjoying those millions. So you got to more or less trick your brain into enjoying the process. I remember when I was an assistant for my very first mentor, where I worked entirely for free. I didn't have any income and I did that for 6 months and then 6 more months. I was happy as a kite. I loved it because I knew I'm on my path. I knew I'm moving into the direction that I want to go to. I didn't arrive yet, but I loved the process. It was enough for me to already be on the move and progress every single day and go a bit smarter and better every single day. Which brings me to habit number 5. I track my expenses. Not out of scarcity, but out of sheer overview. You want to be aware of your expenses. I mean, of course, I track it in my business, but also in my personal life. I just have a stupid, crude Google sheet on my phone, and every time I buy something, even if it's like whatever, a $5 chocolate bar at the gas station, I track it. Reason why that is because I used to not track it, and I used to be proud of myself for not spending a lot of money, and I would always guess like, yeah, I'm probably spending like maybe $5,000, $10,000 a month, just, restaurants and stuff like that. And then I started tracking it. Turns out I'm spending over $40,000 a month I don't know on what, like clothes, random buying, watches, and I didn't even realize that. So I thought, hey, I should kind of track it, which is less important when you are already wealthy, but it's much more important when you're on the way to becoming wealthy. Similarly to that, you always want to reinvest in yourself first. I see this all the time whenever I have beginner clients that are bringing the 20, 30, 40K a month. They're like, okay, now let me invest this into passive income, into crypto, yada, yada. I always say, look, yeah, these things might get you 10% return, 20% return. Yeah, when you're lucky, maybe you get 10x return on some shit coin. But the biggest return over the longest amount of time, consistently, is always gonna be yourself. Like, I've bought mentorship programs that are $100,000 one-time payment. The money that they're making me right now is already well worth a multiple of those 100,000. And of course, it will just stack up as I'm getting older. So you yourself are always your greatest asset. Now, that can start with something as cheap as a $9 audiobook, can go all the way to, profit shares, working with partners that know more than you, and so on and so forth. So the sky's the limit. Always invest in yourself, which is similar to my top third habit, and that is put money aside for taxes right away. This is especially key for people who get into wealth for the first time. They see, hey, I'm making $100,000 a month now, profit. That's amazing. And they spend it and they spend it, and then the fiscal year is over, and they're like, oh, I have to pay taxes, multiple hundred thousands in taxes. Well, shit, I already spent it. So what I do is when I look at my books in any of my companies, when we look at the profit, we automatically already deduct the taxes from that profit, and then these taxes are just rotting away on the bank account till we have to pay those taxes. So make sure in your brain, if the tax rate for your corporation is 25% in the state you live in, just random example, make sure that you always deduct those 25% already in your head. Now, taxes means you're giving back to the state you get to live in, but also you want to give back to the people around you. And that's my top 2 habit that I want to give you here. Give back whenever you can, to your parents, to your girlfriend, your husband, your best friends, to random people. Why? Because I believe in some form of karma. The generous soul will be made rich, and he who waters will also be watered himself. Proverbs 11:25. Ideally, you even schedule that giving back, because with all the money making and all the success, you don't always think about other people. It's easy to think about yourself too much. So what I do personally is every Christmas, we pick an orphanage, my girlfriend and I, we tell the orphanage person that runs it to tell all the kids that they can just put on a list whatever they want from Santa, and then we go buy that for them. It's really cool. It's like a Christmas tradition type of thingy, and that's just making sure that I recurringly do things for others, because karma is always a wonderful thing. Now that brings me to the top 1, the most important habit that I've implemented since I was a child, and I want to share it with you. The last thing I do every night, literally as I'm already lying in bed, just before I'm about to dream, is I practice gratitude. I just list the things that I'm grateful for. This is usually my health, my loved one's health, the fact that I get to do whatever I want, the fact that I can serve other people, that I can help other people, that I can share content, that I can learn. Hell, most importantly, when I'm in a very difficult time, I am grateful for the difficulties that I'm being given, because they teach me to step up and become a better, stronger version of myself. Comment down below what's one tiny habit that has helped you tremendously. I'd love to read that. I reply to every single comment, as you can see. Thanks for watching. Cheers.